skirmishes in Bawku, and we're told that disturbances recorded over the last 24 to about 36 hours has now led the management of the Bawku Senior High Technical School to close down. But it's not only that. Educational institutions have been suffering. Health, access, normal movement of the citizens of the area is a concern. How do we deal with this? Let me start with you, Honorable Titus.
Anytime the name Bawku is mentioned, gives me memories of my late sister, younger sister, who was shot, the police officer behind a bike in Bawku. And it's put me in a very difficult position. And not only of my late sister who died, all other souls who have lost in this crossfire is also dear to their families. The economic life in Bawku is on hold. The social life, the religious life, any other activity that makes Bawku one of the best up in the Upper East is shattered. I'm worried and I'm concerned. And whatever it will take for peace to prevail in Bawku, I'm for it. All the soldiers and the police that are kept there, the money that is spent to promote the peace or maintain the peace in Bawku will have been used to develop that area. Government employees who are paid, the only bank, government bank that is there is the Ghana Commercial Bank. They are all closed. So how are they receiving their salaries? I was watching Ghana Tonight last month, and Alfred interviewed one of the young chiefs from Mamprugu. He said he's a regent. And that evening, listening to the young man, it touched my heart. He said, look, the only way to deal with this problem is to maintain peace. And he is ready to offer himself to bring his youth together so that they can march towards peace. He's all for it. And I felt that, look, this is someone that we need to commend. Because, in other words, as a warlord, as a regent, he will have marshaled his youth and go to war. But he realized that no, that is not the option to go. I want to use this your platform and remind my younger brother, the chief who spoke, I've forgotten the name. If it's better, he can reach his other parts in the Kusang area. So the youth themselves, they hold Bawku. And what remedy they think that we can all come together, because when the combatants themselves understand each other, that is when we outsiders, we can come in. Because we are not happy the way this fight and all this is going on. Now they've taken into the campus of Bawku Senior Technical School. Sometimes you see a vehicle going, they say it's one side of the tribe. They are ambushed and they are shot. It is not good for us. We are doing politics. It means that one tribe cannot go into other area to go and campaign, vice versa. Recently, we had a parliamentary select committee on the defense and interior. They went there on the fact finding. They only got to Tamale when they landed, and they were giving the feedback that, look, you cannot enter to go to Bawku, to go and do whatever you wanted to do. So clearly, I think that this issue, I see it more of chieftaincy problem as to how we can deal with it. As for the security, they will continue to provide. Government will continue to engage. But if the combatants themselves don't have the opportunity to sit and dialogue, it is very difficult for us to come to a resolution of this crisis in our hands. Because we cannot continue to lose lives. We cannot continue to have properties destroyed. We cannot continue to shut the future of the young children in Bawku. Because now nobody is going to school. So the fact that kids are not going to the school, and no teacher, no government employee want to be posted into that area to go and work. So the situation is dire. It's a very complex and very serious matter. So for us, or for me, I think that the only panacea to resolve this problem is how we can maintain dialogue, so that both parties will be able to sit at table and do what we're supposed to do, because it is not helping anybody. Nobody benefits. It's rather lose that we will continue to lose in Bawku. I'm told it's a very, very, very busy commercial area because of that trade routes to Burkina Faso and Togo. So I want to appeal to my brothers and sisters in both Mamprugu and Kusang. Let's give peace a chance.
Ideally, how should we have been dealing with this by now? Because it hasn't been good over the last 5 years, 5, 6. There was a relative peace for a long time, and then all of a sudden we're now...
The Bawku issue has a long history.
Sure, certainly.
Extremely long history.
Very.
And I want to look at the immediate position and then the short to medium position. I'm not sure of the detail, so I stand to be corrected on anything I say. I'm not an authority on it, and these are just general views. It borders, I believe, on land issues, tribal issues, and chieftaincy, succession planning. And that is why it's imperative that the chieftaincy ministry steps up its efforts in trying to outline for each paramountcy their succession plan. It is imperative because the moment a chief passes on, or there is some belief that there is some political change, and most of these tribal things tend to be, I'm on this side or I'm that side politically, or whatever, it can give the impression that people will take matters into their own hand because they believe they will get support from one side or the other, be that as it may. We've seen this in the Dagbon era. It took us a long time to solve that problem there. Bawku is also based on tribe, land, name it. But it is for the chieftaincy ministry to indicate, sit down with all the parties ASAP and draw a chieftaincy plan in a method of inheritance or instrument or enskinment. What is your path? How do you enskin your chief in, for example, your hometown or in Gamashi? Or they should have it written for everybody. So the moment a chief passes, they go and dust the book and say, you all agreed that A, B, C, D. So follow it and pick your chief. It's not a question of how much money the person has. The person can come and buy this thing, who is in political party, who is going to support you or not support you. You have the map. And all of them, if they agree, all the parties, that is what is saving the Ashanti Kingdom and pushing it. Let me be clear. Because they don't have any issue on succession planning for Ashanti. It's clear as daylight how they do their succession. And when the Queen Mother speaks, that is the person picked. And nobody quibbles with it. So you never hear of chieftaincy dispute once Asantehene is placed. And they know his powers. They know the extent to what he can do. So let's not go and reinvent the wheel. And I know there's a policy, but even the chieftaincy minister was complaining that they've done only a few of them. There's more to be done. That has to be done. But in this particular case, maybe we need to get the leadership of all the political parties, from the House as well, leadership of Parliament, invite the leaders. Because when you are in that area, it can create a problem because of security concerns. Unless the security is able to deal with it, they can go there, but it means you are going to go under a lot of heavy security. You either invite them, but our leadership, both from the political end of the major political parties, parliament, and even to the topmost, if possible. But there should be a meeting as soon as possible to immediately give the peace that you need. You can't solve the chieftaincy thing overnight. No. Let us calm it down immediately. Put everybody on hold that we know this is your problem, this is your problem. We are going to solve it. But before we do it, everybody drop your arms, stop fighting. By this date, we will set up a committee. You will be invited, your representative will come, we'll sit up. If you do a bipartisan group at the top end to meet them and discuss and reassure them that whatever concerns you have, we are going to address it. And now we want to do it once and for all, because we are going to have short, medium, long-term plan to solve the problem. It will, because this is not a fight that is an MPP fight or an NDC fight, even though, yes, they take sides now because of how people vote or whatever. That is the way forward. Nobody thought that we would be able to finally reach, and there's still uneasy calm in some of this, but at least for the last so many years, the Dagbon crisis was resolved. Asantini was involved in that process. The President Nana Addo and others, Mahama, it took a while for that peace that they have now to be brokered. But at least in the short term, there was the view that, okay, we must solve this, and everybody was on board. And I think without knowing, and I stand to be corrected on everything I've said, without knowing the real causes of the Bawku crisis in terms of the chieftaincy or the tribal this thing, it has reached a point where there's no peace. I mean, they are literally at war. And we must use all the political strength we have to broker that peace initially.
How do we get this done? Because it's when we are discussing this, we all seem to be very delicate about the solutions that we prefer. But how do we get all sides on board, knowing that the peace that is always maintained is always relative, just a short space?
The Dagbon angle that Alex mentioned, even though it dragged for some time, was able to be managed because they are from one home. These are two sons of Nagbewa. You understand? Yes. So that's, in a way, managed to be handled. The Bawku issue started way back, way back.
Pre-colonial.
Now, I recall one of our discussions here, you called Professor Edin, and you were trying to ask him what solutions that he can provide. He told you that, look, this is one of the things that I do to get my chop money. You remember?
Yes.
First of all, from what Senior just said, I'm sure the study that he did might have unearthed some of these findings and the necessary recommendations as to how we can deal with this issue. And I'm sure these copies are before the various, those who matter in this problem, whether it is the defense, whether it's in the interior, whether it's the attorney general or chieftaincy, whatever. And I'm happy that a strong person like Honorable Stephen Asamoah is now the Minister for Chieftaincy. It is quite Herculean for him. And knowing the background and the style, the way he does his things, I'm sure the Bawku crisis is one of the areas that he wants to touch immediately to see what he can do to resolve the problem. And for all of us, all we are saying is the appeal is the peace, how they can maintain the peace. Because the children are denied access to education. And the way these things is continue, it means that you are denying the future of these children. No activity is going on. And the more pressure people will be moving from there, coming down south, and becomes a huge problem for us here in the south. So I want to appeal to both sides that let's give peace a chance and let's see what we could do to resolve this problem among ourselves. Because our friends in both sides, and the only thing that I can sit here and say is that at the Baraka, we are pleading with them. Let's give peace a chance.